Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Wednesday, January the 11th, race number 5 at Gulfstream, kicking off a 50-cent pick 5 wager. Let's take a look at this field. It's a maiden special weight for newly turned 3-year-olds going 5/8 of a mile on turf. Please scan the QR code for race of the day access on your mobile devices. Mike, several first-time starters in this race, several horses with okay running lines on the turf. It's wide open.
It kind of is. It'll be very interesting to see where the money ultimately winds up, Dan. I suspect it might wind up on one of the first-time starters. We'll see. There are some very interesting and well-bred firsters in here. The ones that have already run, the ones with experience. I don't know about you, Dan. I can't say that I'm thrilled with them.
They probably still have to improve several lengths if they're going to get it done, but you never know what you're going to get with a first-time starter. And since there is a lot of them in this race, since there are a lot of first-time starters in this race, we don't have a Timeform US pace projector. If you had to project the pace, I would think, barring a quick first-time starter, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, I can certainly see those 3 horses. Certainly the 7 you feel like is probably going to come out of there trying to make the lead one more time. We'll see if he can get there. Listen to the music. The 7 there didn't, and his most recent start at Aqueduct, Dan, did not have to work hard at all to get to the front.
Let's start things off with the number 1, Best Defense. And is it too early to give up on Best Defense? This is a horse who sold for $450,000 as a yearling, and after one okay race, sold for $30,000 and went from Pletcher to Kent Sweezy, a good trainer in his own right.
Too early to give up on, probably almost certainly. But this horse obviously still has something to prove. Debuted for Pletcher at the end of last year at Aqueduct. I don't know, Dan, just in a race that I didn't think was that strong overall. Didn't think this horse ran very well at all in that race. Just sort of went evenly around there to finish a no-threat 4th. Blinkers on, LASIKs on, trainer change here, change of scenery as well. I guess one of those things or all of them could work. I didn't like this horse's debut enough to want to get involved.
You can throw in the pedigree as well by the great Into Mischief. The dam was a stakes-winning sprinter on both turf and dirt and has gotten a little bit of a freshening since the debut. The 2 is Lieutenant Stan. This horse has already raced 4 times in his career, most recently in an off-turf Tapeta race at Gulfstream Park where he finished even. And that's kind of the thing. He finishes in a one-paced manner without a lot of oomph in the stretch.
Yeah, that's the one thing that concerns me about this horse. And listen, the last time he was on turf, where he just really didn't find much late, that was going 7 at Woodbine. So, I won't hold that one against him too much. The only other turf start, Dan, in his debut against a really good horse, and Bushido came back in his next start to win a stakes race sprinting on the grass. I mean, this horse, all he could do was chase that horse around there and just couldn't make a race of it. But I could give him the benefit of the doubt if he's a price in here.
Trainer Joe Orsino has 2 first-time starters in this race, the number 3 Portofino, the number 8 Organized Confusion. It appears these horses have been working in company, starting with Portofino. He's been through the auction ring 3 times, a $50,000 weanling, a $60,000 yearling, a $42,000 May juvenile by Speightster out of a stakes-winning dirt router.
Yeah, just doesn't really have much turf in his pedigree, and Orsino's not one of the guys that when you look him up, he's not really cranking these horses up to win first time out. This is, both of them certainly, but even especially this one, I'm just willing to watch this race.
Speightster 14% with first-time starters, 10% with turf sprinters. This gelding is a half to a stakes-winning turf sprinter named Vaisha. The 4 is Assume Nothing. This one goes out for trainer Todd Pletcher, $75,000 2-year-old in training by Not This Time. Again, Not This Time wins has very strong numbers with first-time starters. It's a Pletcher firster.
Yeah, there's enough to like about this horse. 7-2 on the morning line, a stablemate right next door, 5-1. It'll be interesting to see which one of them takes the money, Dan. This horse has enough pedigree to be fine sprinted on the grass. Saez has the mount. I really like that Pletcher hasn't breezed this horse on the turf, but he's going to debut this horse on the turf. I don't know. It would be no surprise at all.
He's a half-brother to a multiple Grade 3 stakes place turf router named Flown. The dam's a half-sister to a champion juvenile filly in Argentina named Forty Greta, as well as Honorable Dylan, who was a pretty fast dirt sprinter here a few years ago. Not this time, 20% winners with first-time starters. Right next door is his uncoupled stablemate, the number 5 Muntalen. This one is by Warfront. The dam won her first 2 starts on dirt, Mike, but the second dam, La Hudud, is the one you want to focus on from a turf standpoint.
Yeah, exactly. Second dam was a Breeders' Cup winner, a Flower Bowl winner, really good horse, also a stakes winner over in France. Yeah, this is the best bred horse in the race. Does she want to sprint, or is Pletcher, or does he want to sprint, or is Pletcher using this to stretch him out at some point down the line? I suspect he's going to be okay sprinting. To me, I felt like he was the one who would probably get bet in here. And if he does, it's probably a good sign.
If you go back on all the workouts, and you can get that in your free formulator past performances, this guy's been working out steadily just about every week or so since mid-August. What's up with that?
Yeah, well, I'm not a fan of that when these horses just train and train and train and don't race. So we'll see. I mean, I don't love that he's been in training for so long and Pletcher just keeps waiting to run him. But here he is, and he's bred to be pretty good.
The number 6, Certain, makes his first start off the Jack Sisterson claim off a much improved effort in his turf debut. Let's watch that race, 5/8 of a mile. This is a 50,000 maiden optional claimer at Gulfstream last month. We see Certain he showed decent speed in this race to get right into the heat, and he's going to finish second. It was a good, solid performance, and maybe he's just found the right spot to step up into a special weight.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing about it. He ran fine in here. The winner, as you can see, I don't know about what you thought, Dan. I thought the winner was really impressive winning that race, and Certain just really couldn't do anything about it. He sat in behind that horse and just could not go with him through the stretch. But I thought all in all, he raced on fine to be second best in there. He's off the claim now. His debut came in a race, had a really fast pace behind the $2 million Baffert horse that ran a 97 by. He had no chance that day. This horse might have more speed than it appears on paper. I thought he ran fine last time.
Listen to the Music might end up favored off his most recent race. The number 7 finished second at the Belmont at Aqueduct meeting in his second lifetime start. Now, this race was 3 months ago. He set the pace. He took very mild pressure from the third place finisher 3-0, who's going to finish, who would come up back and win his very next start, but he's going to get run down in the stretch. I think one of the best things about him is his speed. He is getting Lasix for the first time.
Yeah, this is the race we were talking about before. Best Defense was also in here. That's him sort of leaving your screen right now. He's going to hold on for fourth at the end. I don't know, Dan. This horse, to me anyway, had a very easy time making the lead in this race, not having to go fast. He really didn't take any pressure up there. And all in all, I just thought it was a pretty bad loss for a horse who was favored in that spot, who had already had a race under his belt at Saratoga, where I felt like he did absolutely no running. So, we'll see. He's got Lasix on. Irad Ortiz is taking the mound here. He's probably going to take money in this race, but I just don't like either of his 2 races and don't want him as the favorite.
Up next is the number 8, Harry's on the Fly. We're going to watch this one's career debut, going 5.5 on the Tapeta surface way back in June. And this horse took a little money in this race, and he showed good speed to get to the front. He has a clear lead coming down the stretch. He's going to end up finishing second. The third place horse would come back to win a maiden special weight on the Tapeta with a 59 buyer. And he has a little bit of turf pedigree as well. He's a half to a Grade 3 placed turf sprinter named Harry's on the Loose.
Yeah, listen, maybe his speed plays in this race and he can take a step forward. And here I didn't see his excuse necessarily to lose first time out, not only to lose after opening the clear stretch lead, but to get run down by the longest shot on the board in there. I don't know, Dan, maybe he's a turf horse and he'll take a step forward on the switch to grass.
The 9 is Organized Confusion, the other Joe Orsino-trained first-time starter. He is a gelding by Lord Nelson, sold for $45,000 as a short yearling. Lord Nelson, 9% winners with first-time starters and with turf sprinters.
Yeah, a little bit of turf from Lord Nelson. There's not a lot of turf on the bottom. This is the first full. The dam was all dirt for all 4 of her career wins on the main track. So there's not a ton of pedigree here. We've already talked about Orsino, who just doesn't really have great numbers with first-time starters.
Second dam was Stakes Place Sprinting on the Dirt. This dam is a 1/2-to-1 stakes winning turf miler named Strong Constitution. Caddyman is up next, post position 10. Tough outside post in this short sprint with a relatively short run into the turn, making his turf debut. He's by Bolt Dioro, who had a very strong year with his first crop as 2-year-olds. He's coming out of a 2-turn route. I'm not going to hold that race against him, especially because the winner looks like he's okay, and he's getting Lasix for the first time.
Yeah, and he's out of a midshipman mare who won twice on the grass. And so, listen, maybe it's just he's finding the right surface here while also cutting back in distance. As you've already mentioned, he hasn't really run that well at any of his 4 starts yet, but none of them have been on the grass.
Well, he did face, again, the winner of the last race came back to take the Grade 3 Gray up at Woodbine with a 73 buyer. He just doesn't have a lot of speed. And you have to wonder if he gets outrun early, how is he going to make up ground at this short distance? Completing the field is the 11 Track Shot. This is a son of Trap Shot. 13% winners with first-time starters, 11% winners with turf sprinters. You go deep in the family, you see names like Pulpit, of course, a multiple graded stakes winner on the dirt, and a very strong stallion. A little bit of a gap in the word tab. I'll take a wait-and-see approach for Rusty Arnold.
I was going to do the same, mostly because Trap Shot's an okay sire. I never look at him though and think turf with his runners. There is some turf if you go way back. It's a nice Claiborne family on the go back, but I don't know. I didn't see enough pedigree, Dan. Rusty Arnold though, really nice touch with his turf sprinters, and he can win with a first-time starter.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Rusty's had great success with turf sprinters over the years. Please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos, and we'll head to our top selections for the first leg of the 50-cent Pick 5 at Gulfstream Park on Wednesday. Mike, you're going with Certain. I'm not sure if you are completely 100% certain, though.
I'm not. I was really just trying not to default to a first-time starter right here, Dan. Although maybe this is just the right race to do that. I thought Certain ran well enough last time to take a little shot here, and I think he will be a fair price. So I put him on top of the Pletcher Firsters. I prefer the 5.
I prefer the 5 of the Pletcher Firsters as well, but I'm not really completely enamored with the first-time starters. Listen to the music, should show speed. I think the Lasix might be able to get him over the hump. I won't take anything less than 3-1. Mike's going with Certain. I'll go with Listen to the Music. It's race 5 at Gulfstream, your Wednesday DRF race of the day.